To be here again. Dick got older since the last time I saw him, and Tom. The students haven't gotten any older, though. They still look the same as you did 10 years ago or 8 years ago when I left. So you'll have to let us know the secret of staying young. I was trying to think of some funny stories of things that we did when we were students at Houghton College. My husband and I, Rich Downs and Mr. Miner here, were classmates with your president, with President Mullen. And I thought it would be fun if I could think of a funny story about her to share with you, but I can't. So she must have kept it secret from me. Shirley was in classes with us. Back then, the history department was small, and most of the history courses that we took were only offered every other year. So you went through in pairs. And Dr. Benedict, also, who's currently in the political science department, was in most of the classes with us too. And he was class of '74, wasn't he? So it's just kind of interesting. Were more shenanigans going on, I guess, when I was here as a faculty member. Dick and Ken and I, we had more fun as faculty than we had as students, you know. So maybe maybe that's a good thing. But tonight, it's fun to be back here. I'm flattered on the one hand that there's such a nice audience here, but I also know that you guys have to come to a certain number of these anyway. So, you know, you might just, there aren't very many left and you have to get yours in. So I know some of you are here just for that reason, so I won't keep you longer than we're supposed to be here. I just wanted to talk to you tonight about working for the government. I'm not trying to recruit you to work for the government, although I do want you to consider that a career in government service can be a very rewarding and fulfilling thing to do. When I was a student at Houghton, well, I didn't think about any jobs. I was a history major, and history majors don't really think about what job. Did you think about what job you were going to get? Yeah, we just didn't think about that. It was education for the sake of education for me, and I think for a lot of us. So we weren't thinking about what job we were going to get, as opposed to accounting and business majors. You guys think about that, don't you? But maybe you're just more realistic than we were at the time. But if I had thought back then, I think that if someone had presented ideas to me about a career in civil service, it could have made a difference to me in some of the choices I made. I went in the Army mostly because that's what history majors do when they don't have enough money to go on to grad school. Okay? Like, you got to figure out how to pay your college loans, and you don't just go get a history major job the way you can get an accounting major job or a human resources major job. So I went in the Army and ended up in the federal government as a result, because the job that I had when I was in the Army, I was a Russian linguist. I ended up being able to do that for the federal government, Department of Defense as well. But I think that the civil service, it's a misunderstood bunch of people. How many of you have ideas about what government, people who work for the government, or about what working for the government is like? Does it seem like that's what you do kind of when all else fails? Or that's what you do, like you do that long enough to get your foot in the door and get some experience, and then you go somewhere that pays more money? Yeah, real money, right? Well, the idea of the civil service, I mean, it's a very honorable profession. The whole idea of civil service, it began, you know, in order to bring integrity and to bring honor, to bring trust to the whole function of government, to neutralize the effect of to the victor belong the spoils, because, when, a new president or a new leader, the civil service is a really big concept, big idea in Great Britain, okay, where, if you knew the king, the patronage system was rampant, and it's like who you know. The idea of the civil servants was that you would have politically neutral people who would do the business, the day-to-day operations of the government, and not be affected by who's in power today. You get more stability that way, because no matter if you have a Republican or a Democrat as president, the work of the highway department has to continue. You don't want, oh, the Republicans don't support this highway project, it stops midway, and now the Democrats are in power, so we're going this way. The idea here is that we'll have a stable continuity in government. What's happened, though, well, and the core mission, okay, to provide high-quality services efficiently and cost-effectively. Does that sound like any government that you know? How many of you, like when you went to get your driver's license, did you find it to be kind of a bad experience? Did you think it was? Now, if you live in Maryland, they've got it down pretty good now, Maryland. Or just government services, most people don't think as government being efficient or cost-effective. The idea of promotion and hiring in civil service was that it was based on your merit and not who you know or who you're affiliated with politically. And that the trust of the civil servant is to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars and to be agents. How many of you took Business Law 1 already? Did you do agency in Business Law 1, or is that 2? You didn't get that far? No. Well, you got to do agency, okay? You'll have it in Business Law 2. But the idea of an agent is the fiduciary of a principal. The agent is there to carry out the business of the principal and to serve the interests of the principal and not to compete with the interests of the principal. I think that the civil service as an agent is the agent of the taxpayers, okay? Maybe indirectly because most of us are down so many layers, but ultimately, okay, it's taxpayer dollars that we're spending. So just like those of you have been told that in business, maximization of shareholder wealth is one of the main goals, if not the main goal, of corporate employees. Well, cost-effective, efficient services and stewardship of taxpayer dollars is the goal, should be the goal of civil servants. Okay, but now I think there's unfortunate stereotypes of government workers. And be honest, do these fit what you think of as government servants? I mean, there's a few of us here. Mr. Minor here, you know, is the county attorney here in Allegheny County. My husband works for Department of Defense. I work for State of Maryland. How many of you grew up in families